Brandon, he's 23.
Yeah.
He says, I'm 23 years old and currently have $50 out of every paycheck going into an HSA. Considering that I'm young with few medical expenses and the HSA makes very little interest, how much would you recommend putting in an HSA versus having an extra $50 to invest?
Well, Brandon, that's a good question. And this is one of those ones where it really is up to you. You can't go wrong either way if you put the money in an HSA or if you choose to invest that money in equities. My simple answer would be it depends on how aggressive you want to be right now. Now, here's some further things maybe for you to consider while you are doing this. I personally like the HSA, and I actually really like the amount that you're putting in from your paycheck right now, especially when you consider what it's for. It's much more of a savings account in my view than it is for investing, though it does make a little interest here and there, like you said. There are several tax advantages to the HSA that you probably know of. Interest in 100% tax deferred, withdrawals 100% tax free, as long as funds are used for medical expenses, all that sort of thing. It's something to consider there that it could be a good thing to have as a savings account. I really do like the fact, it's not too much that you're putting into the HSA. If my math is correct, $50 a paycheck will equal out to roughly $1,300 a year or so, which is far less than what I believe is the maximum allowable account. But it is something, it's not too much, it's not too little. It's a way for you to kind of slowly start to build up that savings account. And I really believe that little that you're saving is going to go a long way for you for a few reasons. You mentioned being young. You mentioned, not having too many medical expenses right now. And those things are all good to consider. But consider these things as well. Number one, at some point, you probably will have an unexpected medical issue. We all go through things. Life happens. You get in a minor fender bender. You sprain your ankle. Something like that happens. You have to go to the emergency room for something that's not seriously life-threatening, but it's serious enough. You got to get it fixed, a broken bone, something like that. Stuff happens that you can't plan for. And so for you, Brandon, it's easy to think I'm 23. I'm not going to go through any really crazy, I'm healthy. But it's good to have just a little something in case something happens. I'm not saying you got to go crazy about it and put all your money into it. I'm not saying that at all. But I think the pace that you're setting is really good. To have things ready, that's wise. Have something ready in case something like that happens. At some point, I think you'll be glad that you saved a little bit of money here and there. But second, I want you to consider this, Brandon. So first, you will have an unexpected medical issue. Second, consider this. My question for you is, do you intend on getting married soon and having kids? Because having that savings account for health issues is really good if you have a spouse and you have young children that can tap into that as well. You might not need the money for the next 10 years or so, but you may get married in the next year and you might have a son in the next 3 years. And that son, like my son, will have to go to the hospital several times. That's what happened with Josiah. He had some respiratory issues. We had to take him to the hospital. We paid for that through our HSA account. It was really good that we had that. And we didn't plan for that. Consider this also, brother, that if you want to raise a family and have children, I think the theme of today's show is having a family and that being the most important ministry. Having that HSA is going to help you with those pregnancy bills. And again, I'm speaking as someone like my situation who has Samaritan Ministries. You may have traditional health care, which could cover most of that, but I still think it's good to have. Absolutely. Having that HSA is great. All that to say, Brandon, I like what you're doing and I would keep at it. That's my personal opinion on it. But it seems to me like it's a small amount. You're not going to miss it, but you'll be glad that you put that aside for times when you will need it.